A few years ago, I attended a financial conference. And actually, it was the conference led by Deborah Owens, who was on the last Lead Like You Mean It People. And I saw this lady walking back and forth. She had this pink dress on with these sparkly things, and she had these white tennis shoes. And I said, And I just watched her. She was the MC, but she was a little bit different. And I sat there like this, and I said, I want to do what she's doing as she's going back and forth. Her name was Star Barbertune. So I met with her, and a couple of months later, she became my story coach. And remember, any of you remember me saying this, is that she said something basic with telling a story. Tell the beginning, middle, and the end. And sometimes I would do great because I would tell the beginning, middle, and then Star would say, but you forgot the end. Give me the end. Then I learned to give the whole picture, beginning, middle, and end. But not only is she a story coach, she's also helped me to give a professional talk. She's a speech coach. And I learned so much from her. But one of the things that I learned that I thought, I'm learning this all over again, is when you give a talk, it's not about you. It's about the audience. And I thought, hey, I'm the one giving the talk. It should be about me. But it reminded me of coaching. When I became a professional coach, I was going through the training. One of my coach mentors said, it's not about you. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm the coach who's coaching the client. It should be about me. No, it's not about you. It's the exact same thing I went through as I grew in my leadership. It's not about you. It's about your staff. It's about your colleagues. It's about the organization. It's not about you. So that's what Star has trained me on, that it's about the audience. She's also trained me on how to engage with the audience ahead of time. That helps, alleviate or maybe reduce some of the nerves. So Star Barbertune, I'm so glad to have her today. So today, folks, welcome to Lead Like You Mean It, people. It's a fabulous day of having Miss Star Barbertune. And let me tell you a little bit about Star. She's an award-winning speaker, trainer, and coach who has spent more than 30 years helping professional women and leaders sharpen their communication, performance, and stage presence so they can deliver messages that inspire and influence. And okay, before I finish, I have to say about Star, with helping me with my stage presence. Something she had me that I've really learned is I needed to be able to take the people on an emotional roller coaster. I just couldn't stay in one little place and feel comfortable and have a monotone voice. I needed to invite them in. I needed to ensure that they felt my pain. What's the pain? What's the pain? Because again, it's about them. These are some simple things that I learned from Miss Star Barbertune. So Miss Star Barbertune, Esquire.
Hello, my sister.
Welcome to Lead Like You Mean It, people.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. And I'm glad to know that some of those things worked. Well, you know what? I know that they worked because I see you now. I see you now as opposed to when I saw you then, and you're just a completely different speaker, different person.
Yeah.
So I know that you are actually implementing what you've learned.
Okay, I am. So this is going to be tacky, but I'm going to say it anyway. You beat it into me, Star.
So I do have a slight reputation of being firm. I am firm.
But you know what? That firmness helped me because it made me actually stay with you, that I had to be committed. I just couldn't say, oh, I want to be a professional speaker, or I wanted to give a professional story, tell the professional story. You made me sit there and you made me just listen to you and go over it again and again. So your firmness helped me and will continue to help me as I speak. So I appreciate it.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. But I'm not finished. Before I see, I got too excited about you coming on. I didn't finish talking about you.
Okay.
She's a former attorney, a certified AI consultant, and a powerhouse speaker who's trained with legends like Les Brown and shared stages with icons such as Lisa Nichols, Susie Orman, and even Michelle Obama. Her star combines the art of performance with the heart of leadership. And today she's here to help us unlock how to speak like we lead. Again, welcome, Miss Star Barberton.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. So, Star, tell me how it all started.
How did it all start? How did it all start? Well, you know what? I actually started out on the stage. I started out as an actress on television, the movies, commercials. Absolutely loved it. But at the height of my career, there seemed to be a lot of tension and hostility in my inner circle. So when I turned 18 years old, I gave it up. I was done. I was never going to get on the stage again, never stand in the spotlight. And I went on to have a pretty good life. You know, I got married, had a couple of kids, I became an attorney. Life was good. Life was good. But something wasn't right, you know? I mean, I would come home, drive home from my, you know, my fancy lawyer job and my fancy car, and I would just plaster a smile on my face, you know, reminding myself of what I had to be grateful for. I'd be holding on to that steering wheel, just reminding myself my life is good. Yet and still, something wasn't right. But I wasn't willing to do anything about it. And then, you know, I have a mentor who says, when you are too afraid to make a move in your life, life will move on you. And in the span of a year, life moved on me, Carla. In the span of a year, my dad died. My job went away. My marriage fell apart. So all the things that were my anchors to who I was as a person, as a leader, were gone. And I found myself spiraling into this depression. And a friend of mine invited me to one of these motivational seminars, you know, where they have these speakers and they come and they say things that make you feel good about yourself. Yeah, I wasn't interested. But I went anyway. And I'm sitting in the audience and I'm watching all of these amazing speakers go across the stage. I mean, Michael Gerber is there, Brian Tracy, just all of these amazing speakers. And then I saw Les Brown. And when he got on the stage, it was a whole different ball game. And I remembered that I used to be on a stage. I remember how much I loved it. And when I saw Les, I thought, it's possible for me to do that. You know, I pointed, right? I'm like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. And I end up training with Les. I end up working with him. I ran his speaker training program. I traveled and spoke with him internationally. I went on to become the #1 trainer in a national training company, #1 in sales and in performance. And as you said, I've had the opportunity to speak with some amazing people. And so as I'm speaking on these stages, people start asking, hey, Star, I'd like to speak like you, you know, just like someone in this room who pointed and said, I want to do that. I've had so many people do that. And so I developed a coaching program where I coach speakers and business owners who want to speak to grow their businesses, to have more clarity, more conviction, and more confidence on every stage they take, every time they speak.
That's how it all started.
That's how it all started.
Wow. So I would say, as you go through your travels and just thinking over the years when you were working for Les Brown and with him, what's the #1 failure that you see when someone's giving a talk and they're on stage?
The #1 failure, I would say, or the #1 thing that speakers do wrong is when they make it about them.
See?
When they make it about them and not about the audience. Now, you've seen these speakers, right?
Yeah.
They go on and on and on, and there's all about how great and wonderful they are, or they're just telling their story and there's nothing for the audience. Now, being a grown up, we're going to we're going to clap politely because that's what we're
Mhm.
going to do, but there's no connection. So
Right.
the biggest mistake is not having a connection because you're not thinking about the audience, right? My mentor used to say, don't confuse what you want to say with what your audience needs to hear.
Mm.
And that would be the greatest mistake. I would say the second greatest mistake is not being organized,
Mm.
not being prepared, not being organized, right?
Yeah.
Again, you've had these speakers that go left, right, and Thursday, right? And you're trying to follow them. They're going on and on and on. You've checked out 10 minutes ago, but they're still talking. There's no connection. They are not organized. They are not structured. Makes
Yeah.
me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me think when I was sitting there during a conference a few weeks ago, and there was a lady who her talk was about divorce and what you should do afterwards. And this is what I did. I had my phone because I'm like, I've never been divorced. I don't know what you're talking about. So I started looking at my phone. I felt bad, but I wasn't engaged. It was all about her divorce.
Yes, that's part of the problem. So a lot of people think, I'm going to tell my story. I've got a testimony and the world needs to hear it. You know what? People don't care about your story. They don't. They don't care what happened to you. Les
Mhm.
Brown used to say they're just grateful it didn't happen to them. What people care about is how they can see themselves in your story. Right?
Mhm.
They've got to be able to see themselves. And this is a prime example. You have someone who's telling their story about divorce. You're like, I can't see myself there. But
Mhm.
she could have taken that same topic and turned it into more of a universal topic. She
Yeah.
could have done things with it so that everyone in the audience knows what it's like. So everyone in the audience can relate. And that's, of course, that's one of the things that I teach. You've got to make it relatable.
Mhm.
People
Mhm.
only want to know how your story makes me feel, how your story is going to impact my life. Can I see myself in your story? That's what
Mhm.
they care about.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I felt that. Then, and the another thing is that you taught me was about the emotional side of it.
Mhm, mhm.
Is that you should take them on an emotional roller coaster. And I tell you, a couple of weeks ago, now I have a monotone voice at times, but I learned through working with Miss Star Barbatune that I need to go up, I need to go down, I need to engage, I need to pull back, I need to give emotion. So a couple of weeks ago, I'm at this conference and I heard A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I'm thinking, star, star. So what did I do? I pulled out my phone.
Not the phone again, Carla.
I'm sorry. I pulled it down, but I tried to be sneaky and I had it down where no one can see it. But it just reminded me of what you would teach us is that you need to like I've said a couple of times, you take them on that emotional roller coaster. You need to be engaged in the actual talk. And I just heard the monotone voice and it disengaged me. First of all, it wasn't about me. And then your tone throughout the entire 20 minutes was flat and you stayed in one space. Because I thought they haven't been through Star Barbertunes
They have not
training.
been through my training. Here's the deal. Now, we all remember, if you've ever gone to an amusement park, right? You've gone to an amusement park, you know that they have these rides in the kiddie section, right?
Mhm,
And the
mhm.
kiddie section, the rides just go in a circle. That's it. They don't go up and down. They don't shake. They don't go side. They just go in a circle. And you put a 3-year-old on that, and they are in heaven.
Yes.
They're having a great time because they're going around in the circle. Most adults are not interested.
Mhm,
They're not they're just not interested in going around in a circle with no ups and downs. That's why they have the adult amusement park. But when we talk, when we speak, when we share, you know, ourselves in an audience, we're doing the same thing. We are taking them on a ride, and they don't want to go on the kiddie ride. What we want as adults, we want the highs, we want the lows, we want speed, we want slow, we want to be engaged. You take people on a journey. It is so important because otherwise you're going to lose them. Case in point, people will be bored to death.
Yes.
You got to take them on a ride.
Yes, I'm with you. That was my first experience with that. Again, I thought they need to be trained by Star.
Well, see, here's the deal, Carla. Now that you've been trained, you see and hear differently.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
see and hear differently. 2 years ago, before we met, you would have been okay, whatever.
Yep.
But now your brain is like, hey, they're doing it like this, they're doing it like this. And that is the beauty of growth and learning, right? You just become a different person. You have a different mind. And that is what I want. When I coach my people, I want you to become a different person, to see things differently, to feel things differently, to do things differently. And then you can take those skills and off you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I experienced it. Okay, Star, I am going to ask you a question.
Oh, okay. Does the interview start now?
That's kind of like our joke. I may ask all the questions, and I typically do not. So I'm going to be professional right now, professional interviewer. I'm going to ask you a question. It may be the only one that I ask. Star, you've built a career at the intersection of law, performance, and leadership. What can leaders learn from professional speakers and performers about commanding attention and communicating clearly and inspiring trust?
So I believe that speakers, as well as leaders, need to be able to own their stage, whatever stage that is. I believe that every time you speak, it is a performance, and every place you speak is a stage. And leaders need to give the best performances they can on the stages they take. Now, what is a stage? A stage might be in front of 2,000 people, but it might be it might be a smaller stage. It might be 100 people. It might be a board meeting. It might be a team meeting. It might be a one-on-one conversation. This is still a stage, and you want to be able to give your best performance. So what does that mean, to give your best performance? That means that you are speaking with confidence, that you are speaking with clarity. Help me. Speaking with clarity, confidence, and conviction. Those are the things that are needed. And it goes for speakers and it goes for leaders, because I believe that leaders are speakers, right?
Yes.
The higher you go in any organization, the more important your communication skills become, right? As a frontline employee, it's not so important, but you start managing people, and you know this, you start leading people, you have to be able to communicate. And first of all, you need to have clarity. You need to know where you're going, right? You need to know where you're going, because if you don't know where you're going in a conversation, again, you're taking this audience on this ride to God knows where. It's like if you were going to a brand new mall and you had half a dozen 5-year-olds, right? And you're trying to get them somewhere. If you don't know where you're going, I guarantee you're going to lose some children, right? As a leader, when you speak and when you lead, if you don't know where you're going, you're going to lose some team members. You're going to lose them. They're going to be disengaged. And so you need to know where you're going. You need to have that clarity. And then you need to have that confidence, right? That presence. And presence is how you speak before you open your mouth, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. And so that is about really having your values, understanding who you are, what's important to you, and then walking the walk, not just having values, on a nice little plaque. Yeah. And then you do the opposite. That's not going to work, right? You have to be in alignment with your values so people can see that. And when you're in alignment with your values, it shows, right? It's going to impact your presence, your confidence, because there's two things about being a leader, right? There is the confidence you portray, and that is the confidence that people have in you. based on your presence. You know, people make an impression of you in the first 7 seconds. First 7 seconds, you haven't even said anything yet, right? You haven't said anything yet. So your presence is very important. You know, and you know, things like honesty and trust and consistency, all those things add to your confidence, add to your presence. And then there is the conviction. You have to believe what you're talking about, and you have to be consistent with what you believe. You know what I mean? We have
Mhm.
leaders that will say one thing, but behind the scenes it's a total different story. There is no conviction there, and where there is no conviction, the people will not follow you.
Yeah.
They will not. There was a story that I read about a leader that did not have conviction. He was very wishy-washy. He did not develop trust among his team, so they didn't trust him. And these were firefighters, and they were out fighting a fire. And he told them the fire had gotten out of hand. He told them, drop your supplies and go. Half of them did not, because they did not trust him,
Mm.
and they lost their lives.
Mm.
So this is serious. Okay, so we're not leading fires, you know, physical fires, but we're always, as leaders, leading into crisis. There's always some sort of fire, and we want our team to follow us, to believe us. We've got to spend the time developing that trust. We've got to have the conviction in order for that to happen. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. So I'm thinking about a leader who may have, let's say, 15 employees, and they've been in it for a while, and they're not clear in what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on it a little bit, but talk about how important it is. Talk a little bit more about the clarity when you have a small group of people
Mm-hmm.
that you're overseeing, and you're responsible for not just the work, but of course, as a leader, you're responsible for them. What would you say to that leader who speaks in circles?
Yeah, get a coach. I would
Mhm.
say learn communication skills. There are lots of executive coaches out there. You know, I'm just one. You are one. There are a
Mhm.
lot of executive coaches out there, but so what I would suggest a leader to do, and here's the deal, Carla, only a very strong leader can do this.
Yes.
Only a very secure leader can do this, because a
Yes.
lot of people, once they become in leadership, they think they're supposed to have all the answers.
Mm-mm.
They're supposed to have all the answers, and so they bluff, right? I know about bluffing, okay? I was leading a training on a legal topic, and I hadn't done my homework. I had not prepared. Oh, it was horrifying. And they asked me questions, and I bluffed. And then they looked it up on Google and threw that in my face. It
Mm.
was
Wow.
humiliating. It was my first day as a paid trainer, and people were demanding refunds. So you don't want to bluff. You
Yeah.
don't want to bluff. I got more respect as a trainer when I would say, I don't know the answer to that, but I can look it up. So
Mhm.
much more respect. So the problem that leaders have is that they think they're supposed to know everything. And then when they don't, they bluff. And that's not a successful formula. That's not a formula for success. You've got to be willing to learn and grow. If you have the guts, if you have the security to ask your people what they think about your communication skills, you got to be strong, right? Because some people are going to say things that you're not ready to hear. You've got
Mhm.
to be strong. You've got to have, and you've got to be flexible, right? You've got to have an open mind. But ask your people, am I being clear? Do you understand what I'm saying? Never ask the question, do you understand? Because then the answer is yes, because they're going to be polite. The
Mhm.
question is, tell me what you understand. Tell me what you understand. And if you notice that you said X and they came by with Z,
Yep.
somewhere there's a problem. There's a problem. you can look at your history. Are you constantly having misunderstandings with people? Like constantly. Why does that one get it wrong? And that one gets it wrong. And that one gets it wrong. You might want to look at the common denominator. It might be you. If you have the courage to do that, to ask and get that feedback, and then do something about it, I believe that you can overcome that. You can overcome that because clarity is key. Clarity is key. When there is no clarity, you cannot get things done. You waste productivity, morale decreases, and revenue drops.
Oh my
You gotta
God.
have that clarity.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way about just speaking a simple truth. I worked for this executive. He was a senior executive, and he wouldn't talk too much, but he would walk around to my desk and he would ask me a simple question. Carla, where is such and such? And I would talk in circles. See, I know that about circles. And he would walk away. I'm thinking, this rude man, how dare you? A couple of months later, he would come to me and he said, Carla, where is so-and-so? I would talk in circles. And he would look at me and walk away. I'm thinking, this rude man. Oh, this is the second time this happened, Carla. You're the problem. You're not answering his question. He asked a simple question, but I didn't answer it. I chose to, show my ego. Well, I know this, and this, and this. And he let me know that's not what I want. The third time he asked me a question, I answered it with 2 words. He said, thank you. Gave me a smile and walked away. And when he walked away, I said, yes. But then he taught me a lesson. I mean, he was still rude by walking away, but at the same time, no, I'm the senior executive. I asked you a simple question. All you needed to do was answer it, and you answer it with just a few words. I don't need 8 sentences that make no sense. Right. So that was one of my hard lessons.
Right. And it's a great lesson. It's a great lesson of putting the ego aside.
Yes.
Putting the ego aside. And it's also a lesson in, it's not about you.
Yep.
It's about the audience. It's about what he wanted, giving them what they need, not what we want to say. Excellent. Good for you.
Yeah, that was a hard lesson. That was hard. It was a lot of swallowing of my pride. Because I thought, I don't have a problem. You're the problem because you're rude. But anyway. Okay. I'm going to ask another question, Star. All right. You teach that speaking isn't just about performing. It's about leading with your message. What does it mean to speak like you lead? And how can leaders show up more powerfully through their words?
What does it mean to speak like you lead? I believe I'm coming down to the same 3 things that I talked about before, about clarity, confidence, and conviction, right? These are the things that are necessary to lead. These are the same things that are necessary to speak, right? It's pretty much the same. You've got to be clear, right? You want to lead with presence. We talked about that. Your command, right? You want to be able to speak with power, meaning you know what the heck you're talking about. It means that you eliminate what I call confidence killers. Confidence killers, the way some people talk, where they say things like, this is probably a silly idea. Okay. Or, oh, this one, I'm really nervous. I'm not really a speaker. I'm new to giving team meetings. Why would you tell me that? Why would you make me lower the bar for you? And then my favorite one, this is probably stupid. Look, you tell me that this is probably stupid. What do you think I think? That's probably stupid. Yeah. We've already started. I've already come to my conclusion. There's no need to have any more conversations. So that's part of that speaking with power. It's not being the loudest one in the room, but it is having that clarity and speaking those positive words and getting rid of those confidence killers. And I think another thing that matters is inspiring action, right? As a
Mm.
speaker, that's what you want on the stage, right? We've talked about that. It's not just about you telling your story or you having, having the stage. It's about what can you do for me, the audience. As a leader, you want the same thing. You want to inspire action. You want the people to do what you tell them to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in order to do that, you have to inspire them, right? You have to give them something to believe in. You've got to, and you know this, you've got to set the stage for them so they can see the future, see what's possible, and not just for the company. People want to know that you care about them,
Yes.
right? They want to know that you care about them. You know how it is. If you are the kind of speaker, are the kind of leader that pours into your people, you're developing them, you're helping them be greater, there's a certain amount of loyalty that they give to you. I had a boss when I was an attorney, Jim Severson. Man, I love Jim Severson. I did, because he was always telling me how great I was going to be, and he poured into me, and he was clear in his conversation. I had another partner that I worked with, and we're going to call her Allison. And Allison was not like that. Allison
Mm.
was not like that at all. First of all, she was not clear, and she hated when you asked her questions. If you came back, she'd be, "I already told you." Well, if you had been clear, but you couldn't say that to her. And whatever I did, she like it didn't matter what I did. I would spend hours putting together briefs for her. She would just talk about what was wrong. I mean, she could find what she would just dig until and that's all she would talk about, right? And so you've got on the one hand this leader that pours into me, who is clear, who, I know that he cares about my development. And then of course you have Allison. And I like to say that Jim, I would follow Jim anywhere. Jim
Hmm.
asked me to do things that were outside of my comfort zone. I was like, yes, absolutely. I would do anything for Jim. I would follow Jim anywhere. But Allison, I wouldn't follow Allison out of a burning building. Okay, maybe out of a burning building, but I'm not going to go above and beyond for Allison.
Right.
I'm just going to give her as whatever she asked for, I will give it to her, and then I'm stepping away. So as a leader, when you inspire action, you can ask your team to go above and beyond because they know you care about them. So those would be the three things. You lead with presence, right? You lead with presence, you speak with power, you inspire action. And that is how we have the speaking and the leading together.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Talk to me, since you're an AI consultant. Talk to me about AI and speaking.
Well, AI it's like cell phones on the internet. They're here, baby. They're here. And they're going to stay here, and they're going
Yes.
to get bigger and
Mhm.
bolder and either get with it or get left behind. So that's how I feel about that. Um, I have been using AI in my coaching and in my speaking. Absolutely. I use it to assist me, right? Like sometimes I've got an idea, and like Chat GPT becomes my sounding board. I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? But not but I mean, I'll spend hours there, not because it's telling me what to say,
Mhm.
but it is helping me think, right? But it's still about me and who I am and what I want. And that's why we work for hours until I get what I want, because I have a clue. So I find it very helpful as a speaker to help me with concepts, with ideas, things that I didn't think about. I don't take everything that it says because sometimes it's crappy. Sometimes I say to ChatGPT, "You don't know me at all," because some of the things it comes up with, I'm like, how did you do that? Man, my assistant had to. She was filling out a speaker proposal for me, and they were asking for my accolades. And she asked ChatGPT for my accolades because it should know me. My information is there. And it
Right.
was saying things that were like, what? What's this about my $4.2 million business? I don't remember that one. Anyway, it was off the charts with the things that I've done. I was like, do you even know who I am? Anyway, so I use it for speaking, but I also use it when I'm coaching. I was just coaching with a client yesterday, and I love it. I love it when clients come and it's like, I'm going to talk about this. Excellent. We'll talk about that. But before we talk about that, let's go back over here and figure out what's your message, your audience, your purpose. I always start with that over and over and over again. And by
Mm-hmm.
the time we figured out who he was talking to and what that message was, that talk was not relevant. See,
Mm.
that talk was about what he wanted to say. But
Yeah.
once we figured out who the audience was, we had to come up with a different talk. So we came up with some ideas, and this is stuff that I believe I have to do with him, right? We have to talk. I have to pull it out of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you say that I get a little firm, right? I gotta pull the good stuff out to get an idea of where we're going. And then I take it to ChatGPT and say, this is who I am, this is who he is. This is what we're trying to do. Pull that together for me. And it did, and it just gives him great ideas. It didn't write it for him because he has to write it based on his experience, right? He's got
Yes.
30 years as a firefighter. You've got to pull yourself into that. But it gave him a good outline, a place to begin. So I think that it is invaluable. And you, of course, know, I taught you, I introduced you to Gamma.ai.
Oh, thank you. To this day, thank you.
So we're coaching a bunch of people, and we're coaching them to do webinars. You got to do webinars, get out there and do webinars. And so being a coach who cares, I show up to some webinars that my clients do. And their slides were so not what they should be.
Mm.
So we had that class where I was like, okay, I'm introducing you to how to do better slides, how
Yes.
to do better presentations. And I introduced Gamma, that app Gamma, and it's fabulous. Again, is it going to think for you? It thinks it can, but you've got to always make it you. You've got to
Yes.
always change it. And I can always tell when I look at someone's slides and they just took exactly what Gamma said. They did not change it. I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell. You've got to make it you. So I think the key is to learn it, because it ain't going nowheres. Learn it, use it, but keep that human element.
Mm. Well, thank you. So, Star, what do you have coming up? And how
Oh,
can folks reach you?
so I do a monthly webinar or a monthly training called Amplify Your Voice. And that is breaking free from the stories that hold us back, so that we can become greater speakers. And I also have an event coming up. I have an event coming up in a speaker training coming up November 8th in the Maryland area in National Harbor. You can find all information about that at connectwithstar.com. Connectwithstar.com. You'll see a link there for the event. You can get more information. If you want to have more clarity, more confidence, and more conviction on every stage you take, every time you speak, then you need to come to this event, because it's going to be fabulous. So connectwithstar.com.
Thank you, Star. I knew this would be a fabulous time together. You know, I'm very comfortable with you, but at the same time, I do need that. We all need that firm coach that's going to get us over to where we want to be, where we want to live our dreams.
Absolutely.
So I thank you. And then I am going to end with the Star at the end of her talk, because I did this.
Oh, we're going to bow. We're going to bow. I'm a firm believer in arms open. Take your bow. Yes.
Take your bow. Thank you, Miss Star Barbertune. It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure, Carla Coates. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Folks, we'll meet again the second and the fourth Wednesday of the month. This was a special one for Miss Star Barbertune. Next time, We're going to have it actually with Miss Lisa Medley. She's an executive coach, and that will be next Wednesday. Thank you for your time. Again, Miss Star Babatum, bravo. I appreciate you always. Connie, our producer, thank you so much. We're out, folks.